Well, looks like the weapons in Soul Calibur 2 and 3 are a done deal. Covered the legendaries, SoulEdge variants, and joke weapons. Soul Calibur 4 I'm not so sure because of the stat management and the customization. Definitely not Broken Destiny 5 and 6 since they're cosmetic. Not sure what else is there to.
Can you make a SoulBlade legendary tier list?
Did you rank SoulBlade weapons? A fun series would be to revisit SoulBlade and its ultimate weapons. Please do a video on SoulBlade. Oh yeah, how could I forget about the game that started the series? It also introduced a variety of weapons to unlock through Edge Master Mode. And let me tell you, Edge Master Mode was quite an ordeal to go through. That while trying to get my Discord account back from a hacker at the same time. The legendary weapons are mostly good besides a few. There will be 2 entries for each tier. I prefer to be evenly fair on my rankings. This has been requested, so let's take a crack at the legendaries in SoulEdge. Whoa, I don't want any trouble again. SoulBlade, I meant SoulBlade.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Also learn to crouch block.
The only weapon that is considered dull and damned is Murasame. This one has higher power and defense. It deals chip damage in many ways. Opponents guarding, yourself. Needless to say, it hurts you just as much as dealing damage. It reminds me of Ivy's legendary weapon in Soul Calibur 2. Doesn't help that it's less durable than most of his weapons. At least with his other weapons, their downsides aren't as harsh. Speaking of which, his previous weapons are not only safer, they deal plenty of damage. More importantly, at least they don't lie about the downsides. Iron Slasher and Two-Handed Sword would be better picks than this bottom spot. Phantom is the lesser of 2 evils. Okay, bad choice of words. This OG Han Guan has almost as much reach as Songmina's spear. Higher damage, durability, and deals chip damage. Heads up, 90% of legendaries deal chip damage. Yet again, it chips you, but not as much as Murasame. It also has lower defense and strength. The squishy defense holds it back to the higher D tier. The self damage is minor, but the nerf defense is worse. It says it has 1 less point than normal, but it feels like it's far less than that. Edge.Blade is a better option because it's got more power, dealing damage to both the opponent and their weapon instead of you.
God left me unfinished!
Both Siegfried and Voldo's variants of SoulEdge belong on the competent tier. Their stats spaz out. In reality, they deal more damage with the cost of the user's health when attacking. Siegfried's version is more damaging, but that's about it. Not much else to say about it. This was before weapons could steal enemies' health. Voldo's is a little better because it has more reach and isn't too heavy despite looking much larger. It also doesn't hurt him as much as Siegfried's SoulEdge. And this is coming from someone who mains Siegfried, by the way. As always, there's better options if you don't want to chip yourself to death. Hard Steel Blade is Sieg's best option. It's similar to his SoulEdge but without the HP risk. 7 Branch Blade can be another option because of the fast weapon gauge recovery. Its low stats can be concerning though. Buffalo Horn and Guillotine are safer options for Voldo. Even though Guillotine is heavier, the damage and durability buff makes up for it. Buffalo Horn heals Voldo and deals pretty good damage to the opponent, but not as much to their weapon. Songmina's Spiked Mace is one of the few legendaries that has a max power stat. Despite the only drawback being that it's less durable, it recovers the weapon meter fast. 7 Branch Blade but better. However, it's the lesser of the 2 legendaries with the same effect. It's also pretty good at damaging their weapon gauge too. It's still her best option weapon besides Halberd. Cervantes' last weapon, Serpent's Tongue, is the only weapon that you unlock before the last stage, and you don't need to deal with RNG and save scumming to get it. It's got high stats and it's lightweight besides strength. You thought fighting Cervantes on Arcade and Time Attack was bad enough? At least you don't see him use it when you turn on special weapons. Unless if you play Team Battle. About the weapon itself, it overshadows his previous weapons once you unlock it. It may not be as good as disarming your foes, but god damn it hurts. Its defense is also worth noting. Even if you're up against high strength weapons, you'll take less damage on both meters. 3-bladed Edge is another option but with more power. Valkyrie was originally used by Sophitia until in the later games her sister used it as her legendary weapon. Unlike Cassandra's variants, it doesn't heal her over time. It's got high stats and weapon gauge recovers over time rapidly. This is higher than 2 legendaries with weapon regen. Ignore the default durability stat because it will patch itself up. It can take a lot of abuse and it'll still fill up the meter. Fighting against it is another story. Either ring her out or get her when she's open. The only drawback is that it's the only legendary weapon that doesn't deal chip damage. A more merciful option is Apollo Sword. Actually no, fuck the CPU, it doesn't deserve mercy. Twin Thunder is another legendary that overshadows Li Long's prior weapons once you unlock it. Lightweight with high stats. The max power and fast movement makes this a lethal weapon. You can destroy the AI with it. Besides Cervantes because he's an asshole. Like I said, the only problem is that it overshadows his previous weapons obtained earlier. White Tiger is a more merciful option if you haven't either unlocked it or don't want to be too OP. I would put it on the S tier, but it's borderline compared to the next two last weapons. As if Taki wasn't hard enough to fight against, her Spirit Blade is needlessly overpowered. Evenly high stats, lightweight, and no downsides. This will make short work out of everyone. Like Li Long, this one power creeps her other weapons, like Pokemon TCG levels of power creep. I rated this higher because she has a slightly better moveset and has balanced stats, just like this tier list. But when you use this weapon, you can toss the word balanced aside. Not much else to say about it other than, my god, it's overpowered. Good luck fighting against her using Spirit Blade. You'll need more luck fighting against Rock using his Great Axe. I never thought Rock of all people would have a legendary weapon that is even more OP than Spirit Blade, let alone Rock being a top spot here. It's got max power and durability. Its lower defense and weight are the only downsides. It's lighter, but he still swings it pretty slow. The real deal is that it heals Rock over time at a fast rate, just as fast as Valkyrie healing the weapon gauge. You can ignore the reduced defense because of the healing. It's so strong that it sends the opponent flying. You could go through everyone with it, except for this bastard yet again. Most of his previous weapons are pretty bad. For once, Rock didn't hit rock bottom. How come he didn't get this back in the later games? Well, even if it does come back, someone else might take it, and I think you know who will. So that was SoulBlade. They were real pieces of work to get, but were worth it in the long run. Only a few of them were considered to be bad. Now my job is done with the legendaries in the Soul Calibur series. Unless if I update them in the future. As always, let me know in the comments if you agree or otherwise. The legend will never damn you, Cervantes!
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more of my stuff, subscribe and hit the bell. Okay, thanks, bye.